Joseph Kallinger wasn't just another drifter with a taste for blood. He was a father, a husband, and a man who turned his own children into accomplices in his sadistic games. Born in 1935 in Philadelphia, Kallinger's life was brutal from the start. Abandoned by his parents and raised in an abusive foster home, he learned early that violence could be power. But no one could have imagined just how far he'd take it. By the 1970s, Kallinger was a cobbler by trade, known for his quiet demeanor. But behind closed doors, he was a monster. He routinely tortured his family, branding his children, locking them in closets, forcing them to endure horrific punishments. His youngest son, Michael, was especially close to him, and Kallinger would soon turn the boy into a partner in crime. Between 1974 and 1975, Kallinger and his 12-year-old son embarked on a killing spree that terrorized the East Coast. Disguised as a traveling salesman, Kallinger forced his way into homes, binding families and subjecting them to hours of torture and sexual assault. He murdered 3 people during these rampages, including a young nurse named Maria Fashing, who tried to protect her patients. What made Kallinger even more chilling was his manipulation of his own son. Michael didn't want to be there, but his father controlled him completely, turning his childhood into a nightmare of blood and terror. Kallinger believed he was chosen by God to kill. He claimed voices in his head told him to cleanse the world of sin. In reality, he was a sadistic predator who found pleasure in power and cruelty. He was eventually captured after a series of brutal home invasions left a trail of witnesses and evidence. In 1976, Kallinger was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. He was later declared criminally insane and spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital, dying in 1996. Joseph Michael Kallinger wasn't just a killer, he was a father who taught his son to kill, a man who turned family into an accomplice, and a name that still echoes in the dark corners of true crime history.